You're listening to the Brother Wade program.
Oh, yeah, this is Henry down at the delivery center here, and I want you to know that you're listening to the Brother Wade program. What do I do? I press stop. What do I press? What do I press to stop my recording here? Oh, God.
This is Jerry of Scorpio Paranormal, and you're listening to the Brother Wade program.
Oh, my, you listening to the Brother Wade program? Yes.
This is Al, and you're listening to the Brother Wade Show. It's a program he does. Now, where's that toilet paper I bought?
Ding ding ding, goddamn fucking redneck, fucking weird ass piece of fucking shit.
My name is Tyrone, and I always tune in to Brother Wade.
This is Vader. And you're listening to the Brother Wade program.
You're listening to Brother Wade.
My name is Zane. I'm with Food Safety, and you're listening to Brother Wade.
Hey, this is Mr. Blosh here. You're listening to Brother Wade.
Right here. You're listening to the Brother Wade program right now.
This is Tony Sorrento, and you're listening to the Brother Wade program.
Good evening. This is Count Van Wastel, and you are listening to the Brother Wade program.
You're listening to the Brother Wade program.
This is his wife. You're listening to what? Brother Wade?
Views expressed on the following program are those of the host, guest, and caller. They do not reflect the views of this network. And I'm surprised they don't, because they should. They really should. They do. They should. Now shut that off. Shut it off. And so this week we have our guest. I don't know if it's a special guest or not, but Audrey joins us again. Audrey, welcome to the program.
Yep, thank you.
And now this week we're going to be talking about the dark arts. And before I start, I want to let everybody know this. I realize I'm a Christian human being. I realize I am a Christian. But I also realize there's thousands of Americans who aren't, and there's millions of Americans more who listen to my program, who listen to it for our topics and our guests. So, with that being said, we are going to talk about magic. We're going to talk about the dark arts. We're going to talk about evil and bad and good, too. We're going to talk about all aspects of this topic. And just like we did before, we have some questions to dive into this topic. So, welcome to the show, Audrey. Last time, if you missed the program, she talked to us about vampirism and vampires, but this week it's different. So, as always, the question is, how and why did you get into this field? Work and study.
Well, to start with, first you have to recognize, if you look at world religions, there are a lot of them.
Uh-huh.
And if you look at the history of spirituality, it is vast and varied. So there is a large world outside of Christianity that has nothing to do with Christianity, and there is a small section that is all connected to Christianity, as other sections are connected to themselves as well. I am outside of Christianity completely. So I did not start in Christianity, nor am I a Christian or from a Christian background.
Yes, but some of our members made some comments, and I wanted to make them aware that we have this show, and we have you on here as a nice guest and a friend, and for us to respect the views of others and to know more knowledge. This is more of a knowledge-based program here. So if the people want to make those comments, they can go somewhere else. Now, when you said other areas of Christianity, what is magic, real quick, related to it?
No, outside of Christianity. So I can speak a bit on what I have studied about Christianity, but I cannot speak from within Christianity.
Well, magic is. They claim the Catholic Church is full of magic, PayPal magic, and the dark arts of their. For instance, a exorcism is a calling upon the demons and the spirits first of all, and then to exorcise them because they have called them in. There's other things in the Baptist community that we see. But let's get to it. On to how did you get in the field and why?
So I call myself a dark practitioner because this is the background I have. This is what I study. This is where I am. I have studied Christianity a bit, and I have studied Satanism quite a bit because it just interested me. I was like, what is going on over there? So I began studying probably actively once I was in college and started taking comparative religions.
Now, what is comparative religions? I think that's a little bit of theology and a little bit of, but I've never heard of it spoken that way. What is that course for our listeners here?
Comparative religions is a common course you find or used to find on most campuses, and lots of different places offer it. It's just comparing world religions, the history of religion and spirituality, how it developed. It's hard to find it where it isn't heavily Christian biased. So a lot of comparative religion courses start from a place of thinking as a Christian and studying everybody else. So
well, a lot of it's also money. There's a lot of money in the Christian religion. There's a lot of money to be had from teaching, and I'm sorry to say this as a Christian myself, but money is what they want as a college, as a business, and money is what the church as a business wants. So they throw that out there. Now let's take away all of this. Let's sweep away all of religion of Christianity. Now, you say dark arts. We're using the word as dark as evil or bad, or are we using it as a word of dark as in not the other side of the magic?
We are using dark practitioner as the parts of you that are deepest, your deep passions, your deep, everything that drives you from deep down, the most powerful parts of yourself that oftentimes people shun or push away or try to deny.
And that would be sexuality. That would be the wanting. I don't know how to phrase it right, but the wanting of things. Either I get it or I don't. Desires. Now, when you said Satanism, we're not talking about Howard LaVey. And yes, that was his real name, Howard LaVey, Anton Zandar LaVey. I had a friend in school who was a Satanist, and I and her got along really good because we were both picked on and shunned, and I learned a lot. And one lesson I did learn from her was, if the swan swims near the alligator, does the alligator always attack the swan? And it's always stuck in my head. Now, is this the Satanism you're talking about, or is it the Satanism that's that evil, I'm going to sacrifice my friend's baby to the devil, which is a bunch of nonsense, by the way, listeners, because I've never met. I've only met two people.
Oh, the great satanic panic of the 70s.
Yeah, well, I've only met two people who have sacrificed anything. One sacrificed a rabbit, the other one sacrificed a cat. And I've never heard of anybody sacrificing people. Never. Yeah, I've never met anybody that done that. And I've met a lot of people in my life.
Yeah, the great satanic panic of the 70s. Yeah, that was...
It was also the great Dungeons and Dragons panic of the 70s, too.
Oh, yeah.
But let's discuss this for a moment, now that we've gotten to it. A panic was because people thought that it was bad and disturbing and mentally challenging for them to wrap their heads around, if we can say it that way, when really it may not have been. It may not have been a mental challenge. It may not have been evil. What is it like for you?
Well, okay. The satanic panic was, of the 70s, was absolutely, completely based in a hoax. Okay? So that needs to be said up front. Let's just move that aside. Okay? But aside from that, LaVeyan Satanists are people who believe in the power of the individual and making sure that the individual is cared for first. That's what LaVeyan Satanists have. There are the other form, and then he combined a lot of very basic ideas of power yourself, see to your own needs so that they don't become pushed down and subverted. The most powerful thing he says, and everybody should read the Satanic Bible because, one, it's not a Bible, it's just a book. Okay, it's not really a Bible. It's a book. He called it that because of sensationalism.
Well,
But
one more
very
thing here. One more thing here, really quickly, is that he took from everything. The goat was
okay.
because
Let
the
me
sheep
finish
was
my point. Let me
okay.
finish my point. Let me finish my point. In the very beginning, he talks about how he would work the organ at the carnival and see everybody showing up at the carnival to watch the dancing ladies and to see all the things there. And then he would see and he then played the organ at the church on Sundays, and he would see the same people who were acting all carnal and lustful at the carnival suddenly acting all pious at the church. And he looked at these two and realized that the pious people are not pious and the sinful people are not bad. That somewhere in here, there is just a denial going on that is unhealthy. That is the basis of where he went. Now, where he went with that, that is his own issue, and that's a whole other conversation. But when you come to dark practices or dark practitioners, you have to look at anything that you try to push down and deny is the thing that is going to haunt you the strongest. And it is better to know your passions, know your desires, and be able to satisfy them and deal with them at a rational level. And to also know your trauma and know your damage and find a way to heal it and not just push it down and let it fester.
Now that it's different for everybody, correct? Or are we talking normal stuff like lust and hate and
Everybody has everything. It's all the same across the board. It's how you deal with it that makes people respond the way they do.
and real quick, like I was saying before, is Anton LaVey made fun of the Christian church by making a goat. He made fun of the Wiccans by turning the thing upside down, the pentagram. He called it a satanic Bible because he wanted to.
Sell copy.
Well, I think there was a Baptist church in that area that kept making fun of him and his group, so he named it after him. There was something else he did because he called it the Black Mass, based after the Catholic Church. So all this stuff was the stuff that he found, and yes, it's very true. He was playing a calliope, I think it was.
An organ.
And
He actually says it's an organ.
Yeah, and then he went to the church. Now, if I'm not mistaken, did his daughter not have a falling out and there is no more satanic church?
There are all sorts of different splinter groups, reactionary groups. It's no longer one thing. It is many things.
Yeah.
As happens all the time.
Now, when he was alive, which he died of basically his lung failure, he never did anything wrong that I know of. But a lot of people made fun of Aleister Crowley. They made fun of him.
Yep, both of them very, very much trickster people.
And there's something about Anton LaVey. Before I got into religion, I worked for the circus too. And I can relate to that. There are people that will go to the strip club and watch some girl dance, which I've never found any fascination in that whatsoever. You can't touch her, you can't enjoy her. What are you doing there? And then they'll go to church and they'll act like a strip club never existed.
Yeah.
I don't know what to call it. It's not. There's a word for it, but it's just almost a disgust. and the rest of the world sees it as that. Now, in reality, it's not. Like you said, we all have these lustful feelings. We all have hate. We all have everything. Now, how is this stuff ceremony? And it fascinates me. I was looking up some stuff online of dark arts or all of this evil stuff, and really, magic.
Correct. Absolutely correct.
It,
and we're going to get back to this. The whole concept of good and evil is a very basic medieval concept to separate people so that you can villainize one side.
Well, there is evil if you harm children, if you on purposely go out there and kill somebody,
Yes,
if you
right.
know.
But the overall, what they use as evil is way more, too much encompassing in a blanket concept. Look up things like purity culture and stuff, purity cults and stuff like that. And
the Quakers and the Puritans and all that stuff.
No. Just the simple idea that you have to keep yourself free of all kinds of ridiculous ideas of sin and evil. Evil is itself a small category of acts of thought, And as everybody goes, oh yeah, harming children or killing children is evil. Yeah, we'll go to the extreme. Everybody can point to an extreme.
Well, I have a wonderful example. Racing. Is racing good or bad? Well, these guys crash and they get hurt and their cars get on fire, and it teaches people how to drive wrong, and it's disgusting because of the money it's thrown in. Or you're going to talk to the rednecks down the street who have their whole house painted in DuPont and Jeff Gordon stuff, and the lady wears a jacket for Dale Earnhardt, who's passed away a long time ago, and they still have a number 43 flag in front of their house, and Richard Petty's been retired.
Yep.
It's the same thing with police officers. It's the same thing with the military. It's the same thing with professional wrestling. Is it fake and stupid, or is it great? It can fall in any of these categories.
To go back to your analogy of the racing itself inherently is not bad. Crashes are bad, but crashes, that is an event that happens,
Crashes are like blood in professional wrestling. If there wasn't any, it wouldn't be good.
But the misuse of it, the appropriation of it, the manipulation that companies are doing, that people who want to make money, all this other stuff that has nothing to do with the racing, and they are simply using a racing for what they want. That is what is the problem, not the racing itself.
Well, the funniest thing is this new Bristol track is a dirt track. Now, this is a huge Mandela effect because I remember it as being a pavement track. But people are now complaining because NASCAR is using it as some kind of manipulation crisis here. It's a dirt track and everybody's upset about it.
The problem with hysteria is it's so easy to stir up.
The problem with these things is that people don't understand. They don't understand what they need to do. They don't understand what it is. Shows like mine, or maybe I think I'm the only person that's ever had the evil as a topic on a podcast that I know of. And let's get into the magic. Let's get into this evil. Let's get into this quote unquote stuff. What is done, if you can discuss it? How is it done? And what things do you do? And what I mean by this is when we talk about magic, we always picture some woman around the bubbling cult, or we picture some guy lighting a candle and reading a scroll or something. Or I picture some guy meditating over it and wanting something that week, so he lights a candle. What is actually done?
Actually, all of that can be very true, and many more. The idea of magic, the base thing you have to do is find something that helps you focus your intent and your thoughts and your feelings together on what it is you intend to accomplish or pull toward you, what you are trying to do. And for everybody that has a different thing. Some people lighting a candle in a dark room and just allowing themselves no distraction is a focus. Other people need a full psychodrama to help them get into the mood. And those things are as old as human beings gathering, you know?
Now, when you say
Somebody else needs
psychodrama,
to write music. Somebody else needs the images of what they have around them. You know, everybody has a different way of doing it. Everybody's brain works slightly differently. So what helps you to get into the mood and state where you can focus on what it is you want to accomplish? What do you desire? What do you want? What do you want to make happen?
now, when you say psychodrama, you mean all these little performances and dances and all this other stuff.
Oh, all kinds of things. All kinds of things. Psychodrama is anything that you can imagine. It's maybe dances, maybe music, maybe, you know, the group of people chanting together, singing together, you know, that dressing certain ways, having certain things in hand or around you, having certain jewelry on, all of it, any combination of it. These are all part of the psychodrama.
So
That can be done.
how do we call all this dark and evil arts if you're doing the same thing as the Wiccan down the street?
Because anything that was done outside of what was accepted by the Holy Roman Church was magic, dark, and evil. Period. That's what makes it dark and evil.
So we're really just talking about magic in a way to express yourself.
Correct. Now, the people who will separate white magic from, quote, dark magic are still beholden to the idea that there is a line, and this is good, and this is bad. And that line is very hard and very arbitrary.
Well, is
it
there
bad if I want if I want to have more money, is that bad?
Well, it
Not in
might be
itself.
depending on how you're going to use it.
Exactly. It all depends.
But
everything is situational.
Money's
not
a poor
hard and fast.
example. Let's say your ex did something wrong.
Right.
Would you, as a dark practitioner, put a spell on them?
Yes.
Yes.
I would try to reflect the energy, the harm that I have received back at them. Absolutely.
Now, this is what I want to get into.
Here's the important part. No, here's the very important part.
Okay.
If I am petty and childish, I have very little power behind what I do. Because if that person is actually very much a generous person and a lot of people have warm feelings toward them, my little one thing is just going to ping off them like a spitball. However, if that person has harmed a lot of people and a lot of people are thinking these thoughts, that is a lot more coming at them with them having less of a, shall we say, shield of protection, because they are a harmful person and they're bringing it literally at themselves.
So I hate to word these two words, but you're saying if they're a jerk, assholes, and bitches, then they're going to get what they deserve.
Because they're bringing it to themselves. Every person they harm adds to that pile of intent back at them.
So it's like the law of attraction.
Right, exactly.
Or whatever they want to call it, because it's not exactly like that at all.
No, law of attraction is a very good way to say it.
So today's topic is not magic; it's how to do the law of attraction properly.
It's all that's magic. Magic is simply manipulation of energy.
And how many of you Christians out there believe in the law of attraction now? See, I just thought I'd throw that out there for some of you who think you are holier than thou, and want to make comments on my Facebook, and be rude. You believe in the law of attraction. You also believe in yoga, and isn't yoga asking for something? It's not God doing it. But anyways, we won't go into that. Side thought. So what is done in these things to do this? For instance, I have never seen a practitioner of magic ever light a candle and something happens. I've never seen them intently think of something and it happens. So what
Well,
is done? Is it ceremony? Is it a personal thing you do? Is it a candle lighting?
As I said, everybody has their own way. You know, if for you lighting a candle makes you feel in the moment, in the mood, then yes. But all of it is subtle. None of this stuff is going to be movie CGI, magic. Doctor Strange would be fantastic if it really worked, but it doesn't.
Well,
But
I have heard some stories.
Oh yeah, you always hear the stories. My
I've
friend knows somebody who saw something, right?
No, I know somebody who can kind of change streetlights.
Yeah, that's a nice subtle thing.
By pointing at them, and they all turn green. And if I hadn't saw it, I would have never believed him to do this.
But again, that is subtle. You didn't see any energy shoot out from their fingers, and the lights. It wasn't a big dramatic thing. It was subtle. The light just changed.
Oh, it was dramatic when they all turned green. But other than that,
Yeah,
he used to go green, and
thing.
they would turn green, and I thought he knew it, or saw a light, or a laser, or counted, or something.
I have known people who could light a candle by looking at it. Yes, but
now that would be something to see. So what would what? So I've heard of Native Americans floating and traveling that way and flying and teleporting themselves somewhere in their sleep.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's true. This is the problem.
The thing is, I will say it again. These things are subtle.
Uh-huh.
So to actually track it or film it or prove it is hard to do. They happen, and they are very dramatic if you're not looking for the movie level of CGI magic effect.
No.
Okay?
Like in Dungeons and Dragons, I shoot a fireball from my hand or
Exactly.
lasers from my eyes. And so let's go through what somebody would do. Something very simple for our listeners who might be interested in this.
Okay. Well, when I teach somebody how to practice, okay, the first thing you start with is learning whether the person needs to ground or whether they need to put up a protective sphere, a circle, how they need to describe their space for themselves.
Okay.
So you get into a space where you feel like you are the center of whatever working you're going to do. Okay.
And what do you mean by center of it? What do you actual center of standing in a room?
Yeah. You are now the center of your universe, and you can see it, sense it, feel it.
Oh, I've done that. I've been that way since I was a child. I'm it, and everybody should know it.
Everybody is the center of their universe. Just a lot of people don't know it. But yeah, you get to a point where you feel like you are now standing at the center of what you are going to do. Okay. Establish the center. For a lot of people, that means drawing a circle on the ground and standing in the middle of it. Some people, it just means mentally creating that sort of space.
You notice it's always a circle. They never draw a square. They never draw a triangle.
Because a circle is equal distant from you all the way around.
Well, they never draw a smiley face and be the nose in the center of it or anything,
You don't know that. There are probably people who do that. There are very likely people who do that. But so we're just going with an example, okay? And
now, this can be anywhere. We can do this anywhere, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Right. So we're going with an example, okay?
Yeah.
So you've got your space in your mind or physically drawn around you.
Yes.
You're standing in the center of it. Now, some people will use a candle because it represents energy or focus or light. So you have your candle. Helps to have it either white for just intent or the color of something that associates with what you're going to do. So you put your candle there, you have your center made, you light your candle, and you have words that you're going to say that make you help focus. That this is my energy, I am creating this energy, I've created this space, whatever. This is the quote spell work. You understand?
Oh, I kind of I'm kind of getting it. I'm kind of lost on the focus part, because if you can just say this and focus it, why do you need all this other stuff?
This other stuff is because some people cannot just say it and focus it. And a lot of times just being able to stay and focus comes with practice.
I meant the centering. If you're already saying I want something.
All of this is to create it for people who to help people create.
We're doing it for our audience who doesn't know as much as I
Right.
and you do. Okay.
Right.
So
Right.
you're sitting in a chair, or you're sitting on the floor if you don't want to draw circles, or you made a circle in sand, and now you're going to take an object, a rock or something, hold it in your hand, a candle, and light it, and look at it.
Yes. Right.
Your cell
Everything.
phone, and stare at it with mute. Now, is music used?
Yes. You can use music if that helps you create the space. We're back to what helps the person, you know?
Okay,
So the person we have needs to create a space to help block out the world and to help can keep their focus, right?
Yeah.
So they have music up. They're away from other people. Maybe they're in a room with the door shut. Maybe they're out on the beach away from everybody. And let's say this person has drawn a circle around them because they need to do that to help, just visually see it.
Okay.
So they're standing in the center or sitting in the center.
Okay.
And they have in front of them the things they've already gathered that help them create. The ritual creates the feeling inside. It creates the focus. It creates the space you're making.
And some of this stuff is incense. Some of this stuff are feathers. Some of this stuff can be a pipe. Some of this you can. Now, I don't recommend just smoking drugs, but there's probably some that do that.
There are those that do it. There are those who don't. That is a personal choice. That is a personal choice. Magic works because of how much focus and energy you put into it. That is what magic is. It is the manipulation of energy. We go back down to this. So the better your focus and your concentration on what you want to do, the stronger your magic is going to be.
Okay.
So some people have automatic, they're really good at focus. Other people, it takes a lot more work to focus. So the level of ritual goes up the more you have to maintain your focus.
Now, is there a difference between ritual and ceremony? Because I was always told a ritual is personal, a ceremony is with others.
No. People have different views. People have their own definitions, but no, not really.
Okay.
No, not really. It's like, is vampire spelled with a Y or an I? It depends on how pretentious you are.
Well, it also depends on what part of the world you're in.
Yep, exactly. It's all, there is no actual, like, this is this and that is that.
So now, is there something that has to be always done? Like for instance, if you're going to put a curse on your ex, do you got to have a lock of their hair? Do you have to have their shoelaces? Do you have to have their nail polish they always used?
No, you don't have to have anything. Those things are to help you focus. Those things are to help you. Those things help the practitioner, the person who's doing it.
Because I've heard
you do not actually need anything.
Okay, so I could be just sitting in my chair staring at my computer.
Right.
And now, what happens?
Because the thing is all about energy. And energy and matter are the same. If you have matter, it helps you focus your energy. But you do not need the matter to focus your energy. If you've been around this person, you know what it feels to be around them. So you know how to create that feeling of sending something to them. You don't need anything.
Now, is there any backfiring on this? Because they've always said karma, don't do this, don't put a spell on somebody because you. But like you said, you're being mature about this. You're being sensible, if the word is.
Well, if you are being petty and childish, then one, it's not going to work, and two, you're a petty, childish person, so you're bringing stuff towards you all the time anyway. Is this one thing going to backfire? No, not this one thing, but there's a lot already that your pettiness is bringing towards you as it is.
So the theory that the spell is going to bring you bad karma if you harm another person does not exist.
No, your own pettiness brings you the bad karma. You're doing the spell because you're petty. You understand?
I don't, but okay.
Okay, if you're petty and angry and small and striking out of your own insecurities, you are petty, small, and striking out because of your own insecurities. That is the problem.
But that's the whole reason of doing the spell, because I was angry at the ex.
Exactly. It doesn't matter if you do the spell or not. If you are a petty person, you are already bringing things towards you. The spell is not what does it.
So if you were a strong person, you would have picked a better relationship and not had an ex.
If you're a strong person, you would realize what went wrong and focus on doing better the next time. And that person's out of your hands. Just, you wash your hands of them and you're done.
Okay.
If you're a petty person and just can't let stuff go, you have a lot of more problems that are bringing things towards you, and the spell is minor and not really important.
Well, you should do the spell of cleansing and clearing before you. If you're that bad that you have all that stuff attached to you.
If you're that bad and you have all that stuff attached to you, you have a lot of internal work, because it doesn't matter how many times you clean your air or clean your space, you're going to keep bringing it in. Yeah. It's like trying to sweep the beach, you know? You're never going to get it done.
Okay, so then what see, now I'm on. What's the use of doing the spell in the first place then?
Focus, concentrate your energy on what your desires are and what you want, and bring things to you, make things happen.
And you have brought in things like money and cars and all that stuff.
Rotten is not the term to have.
Gotten.
You mean brought in or rotten?
Gotten.
Got.
Yeah, you have stuff come to you like cars and money. And
that has not been my focus right now. I am comfortable. I am fine. I've survived the pandemic. I have a house. I have a roof over my head.
Yeah.
I have food on my table. I'm in a comfortable place. I tend to focus my energy on other things right now.
But if somebody...
If that is what I wanted and what I really wanted and worked toward that, yes, I would have that. But my energies are in other directions, so I do not focus all my energy on that right now.
So how does one know that your energy is strong enough to do this?
That's the internal work.
That is going to the therapist. That is making sure the X
going
stays
to a therapist,
away.
Going to a counselor, or simply doing the work yourself.
Yeah.
Depends on the level of trauma, how much external help you need, you know?
Yeah.
The worse your trauma, the more help you're going to need, because, you know, everybody needs help.
So now...
I got a hole in the wall, I can fix that. If something crashes through my wall, I'm going to need help repairing that.
Yes, yes. Now, we've focused on it. We've done it. Now, how do we know when it's come to us? Because here's something that a lot of people miss. I could wish that I had more money. I could do a spell for more money. But if two jobs come up for me to do and I don't want to do those jobs, then I'm not getting the money.
Right. If you do a spell for more money and you want more money, and then two jobs come up, there you did it. There it is. Right there. There it is.
That's right. See, that's what I think a lot of people
miss. But I
didn't
find a bag of money. I'm like, well, you know, that's not necessarily how it's going to work.
If you want a new relationship, then you're going to have to talk to people. You can't just sit in your living room, watch TV, or watch me on Facebook all day. And, And expect a woman to knock on the door saying, "Hi, I'm here." And if they do say, "Hi, I'm here," I would run from them. I would tell them to go away. Trust me.
I do have people who have asked me for tarot readings all the time, going, "When am I going to find a new relationship? When am I going to get a new relationship?" And I'm like, "Well, the cards say you got to get out of the house."
Yeah. Or the card says you got to figure out your own one that you're trying to cheat on somebody with in the first place.
Yep. What are you looking for? Right.
Yeah. Or they already have a relationship and they don't like it.
Yep.
Which that's a whole nother show. We could do a whole show on love, for God's sake.
We could. Why do love spells not work? I could do a whole show on that. I could tell.
Well, I can tell you why love spells don't work, because it doesn't work that way.
Exactly.
Life does not work by you lighting a little pink candle and wishing for Prince Charming or Queen whatever to come to your door.
Right.
And remember, if you want a knight in shining armor, then you're pretty sick, because a knight in shining armor means he hasn't been in any battles yet. So good luck with that. I always tell people, I am not a knight in shining armor. My armor's rusted, dented, and I probably need some new ones. And I'm not going to get a new shining armor, okay, because that's for show.
Here's the very important part of it. When you put the spell out and the intention out, make sure you are prepared to step forward. Opportunity means nothing if you can't back it up.
Well, see, that's another thing. When do we know that the spell is bringing it to us?
Well, like you just said. The two jobs that came up. The
How long
opportunities
do
that
we
came up.
have to wait? But who's to say they weren't normal jobs? Who's to say right now I want a better job with better money, and a delivery job comes up and a bus driver
Well,
job comes up, and they're normal stuff. They're not exactly what the universe is giving me.
that comes down to a lot of times that'll come down to opinion. Some people will go, see, it was the spell. Other people go, that would have happened anyway. Well, there's no way to prove it because you did the spell and it happened.
That's like wishing for rain and it rains, and it was predicted to rain for 2 weeks before you did the thing.
You know,
Now, if
it's
you
hard
did the
to
rain
prove
in the middle,
one way or the other.
Now,
it's hard to prove one way or the other.
Now, if you prayed for a snowstorm in the middle of summer and a snowstorm, then I know you did the spell.
Right, but if you pray, for a snowstorm in say Ohio in the winter, that's just like asking for the sun to shine. You know, that's just asking for the sun to come up in the morning. You know.
Yeah, or my town where it snows we're supposed to get snow tomorrow.
Yep.
I hope I kind of hope we do because I want to laugh at everybody when it happens. But it's April. What's going on here?
I do not see a lot of comments over here on the side. Are we getting comments?
I don't know if we are or not. I'm not keeping track of it. I don't know.
I just see a couple of hellos and good evenings.
Well, they're probably listening to us, and they're probably waiting for me to say to open up the phone lines. So let's open up the phone lines.
Let's open up the phone line.
Let's get the phone lines opened. Let's see who calls in. And real quick for Tim, because I know Tim is going to call tonight. Have you met Andre the Giant?
For me?
Yes. Have you met Andre the Giant?
No, I have not met Andre the Giant.
Okay, yes.
Why do they think I met Andre the Giant?
Well, Tim has asked every guest we've had, so I figured I would get that out of the way here. No, Tim's a wonderful person. Tim's a pretty cool person. He's really cool, and I hope he's listening, and I hope you call in, Tim. And Tim, do ask if she's met Andre the Giant, because it only sounds good in his voice. I've never met Andre the Giant. I've met The Undertaker. I've met Kane.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't seem like the type to go to a wrestling show.
Oh, you're wrong about that.
No, you would?
Oh, yeah. Wrestling shows, big truck, the monster truck, rallies, NASCAR. Yeah.
What about a demolition derby?
Oh, yeah.
What about the powder puff demolition derby with the women?
I have not been to a segregated demolition derby. The ones that I've gone to have had everybody out there.
I went to one where all
the male
women,
and female drivers.
I had one where it was all female and they were all in pickup trucks. And the females had to work on their own trucks. And let me tell you something. Let me tell you, more than once, they had to go out there and split the women up who were trying to fight with each other because the other one ran into her pickup truck. It was hilarious.
The demolition derbies I've seen have not been segregated. They've been male and female drivers out there just smashing the crap out of each other.
I don't know how many I've been to. I think I've been to like maybe 5 or 6. And every single one I'm in, there's always somebody that has to be rescued by the fire department. Either the car tips over and catches on fire, or the car blew up in the middle of the thing, or it runs into the barriers and almost into the people sitting there, or something.
That's what happens when the whole idea is to smash them up.
Well, not smash your car so bad it blows up. This car just started. He started driving backwards, and the whole thing just blew up and caught fire.
These are bumper cars without the bumper.
Well, they do have bumpers on them. And they have to have...
These are bumper cars without the rubber around them, you know?
I want to see a bus demolition derby. I saw one on YouTube.
They have them.
Can you imagine what the demolition derbies are going to be for our children? It's going to say, take the computer out of car. It's going to take GPS system. Instead of radio system where you're going to cut all the... It's going to say, take GPS out of the car. Or it's going to say, gut entire car and replace with 80s engine, because you can't run a car without all that stuff. I don't even think we would even have a demolition derby. Our kids would be watching plastic bend. One hit and the whole car would be done.
Yeah, but there's always the robot fighting where you got the little robots coming at each
I
other.
haven't gotten into that yet. I have.
Oh,
My
man,
friend
that's
likes
fun.
that stuff. I have not gotten into that.
That's
All that hard work you could be doing to fix a robot to do something, and you're gonna smash it to pieces.
The robot is made to try to smash other robots.
Well,
That's
how
what
do
they
you
make
think
them
the
to
robot? How do you think the robot feels about that?
do. It's made to smash things. Smashing things is what it
But
does.
that's abuse towards robotics and intelligence.
Not if that's what the robot wants to do.
But what happens if the robot doesn't want to do it? You're making him do it.
No, you made a robot that's what it does.
But what
This isn't a
happens?
vacuum cleaner.
But what happens if it wants to do something different once it gets out there and realizes that that's wrong?
Very simply, the robot doesn't function. And when the robot doesn't function, they stop the whole thing and take the robot out.
Why? I would leave it in there and let it get smashed by the other robots.
This is the guy who's asking what if the robot doesn't want to do it.
If the robot just goes out there and does nothing and sits there, then he deserves what he gets.
Whose side are you on?
Is there any with fire and like missiles that shoot out of them?
No, but they do have hammers and spikes and smash each other.
Oh, that's no fun. I want to see lasers and fire, and I want to see little landmines in there where it just blows the side of the robot off. And then I want to see people get in there and fight each other while that's happening. Oh, wait, they already have that. They have that in the big Japan death matches. Have you ever seen one of those?
They have that when the people don't agree on the outside, you got to fight on the outside, and it becomes WWE on the outside, robot fighting on the inside.
You never seen the big Japan death matches?
Yes, I have.
Have you ever seen the one with the snakes and the scorpions and stuff?
No, I've not seen those, but I did see the exploding ring.
I think that's fixed, but that's my personal opinion.
No, that went horribly wrong.
That was like what we did in backyard. We set the ropes on fire and wrestled in the ring until the ropes fell apart and the whole ring got caught fire and we had to stop.
Yep, that went horribly wrong.
Or what about it when it doesn't explode and then it explodes after the show's done?
God.
What about the landmine corner match where Cactus Jack was thrown on one of them, I believe?
That wasn't supposed to go the way it did. That was another one of the things that went horribly wrong.
But it made him famous.
Oh, it did.
What about, we should have what about if we put robots versus people?
That would be interesting.
Then let's see how well they make those robots with padding and everything else.
Do we have any callers coming in?
No, we don't have any callers coming in. Maybe it's one of those weeks.
Yeah.
What holiday was it? Oh, yes, it was Easter.
It was Easter yesterday.
Maybe nobody's gotten home yet from traveling. Or is that Christmas where they travel?
Christmas and Thanksgiving is when they travel. I don't know, people might travel for Easter. I don't know.
So
You're asking the wrong person on that one.
So let's talk about this evil concept. Why is it evil if it's, I mean, other than a person's view, is there anything that you do that's evil?
No.
Now,
There's a lot of people who would say everything I do is evil, but I do not believe that anything I do is evil.
Because I think putting a spell on a person, I mean, that could be it, but is there other things? I mean, Anton LaVey was believed to do sacrifices. However, the Jewish community sacrifices lambs.
Yeah, the Christians used to sacrifice too. Everybody used to sacrifice. That was the thing back in the day. That's what everybody did.
But if you did that today, you'd be arrested for animal abuse.
Well, it's because we mature as a species.
Although today we're using cats and ducks and chickens and... Well, I don't know if in voodoo... Well, there's a difference between hoodoo and voodoo, too, which, for our listeners, hoodoo is supposed to be good, voodoo is supposed to be bad.
You talk about... Well, no. See, that's back to the Christian point of view.
Well, no, that's the actual two names of it. The actual name of voodoo and hoodoo is good and evil. Now, what people don't realize is what happens to African magic, which voodoo and hoodoo is. They mixed the Catholic religion with it so they can continue doing it and disguise it.
They put a mask of Catholicism over what they were doing.
Now, there is a Mexican magic that actually is for the dead or to kill people. I forgot what it was, and they have adopted the Virgin statues. They have adopted the saint statues.
Yeah.
I forgot what it's called, but
it's the safe thing you do. I mean, when the Romans used to conquer everybody, people would just start to identify their gods and beliefs with the Roman iconography so that the Romans would leave them alone. It's the same,
well,
whatever conquering people come in, the people who are still trying to manage their lives around it just put on a mask of going along with the conquerors.
Well, if you really want to stun a Christian, or if you want to stun anybody, tell them where we got our days of the week from. And anybody that's against magic and all that would say that...
Who doesn't know that these days?
Well, they're still calling them Monday and Tuesday, and they're still worshiping on Sunday when they're supposed to be doing it on Saturday.
But who doesn't know the stories of the names of the days of the week and the months?
Actually, you're supposed to worship on the seventh day, not the Sabbath day, seventh day. So that means the first 7 days are for the Lord, and the rest are for you. And last time I knew, a month had 31 to 32 days. Well, actually, we should have a 14th month now, because our moon cycle changed, but we should have 13, according to the moon cycles, months, if I'm not mistaken. Because there are 13 full moons a year, sometimes 14. So that concept is there. Now, when we say the dark arts, have you done anything that's considered to be evil now that we said it isn't? Have you done any of that evil stuff out there?
Let me think here.
Or they would call it evil?
Okay, I think by and large, well, for one thing, just straight out divination is thought to be evil by a lot of different Christian sects. So, and one of the main parts of my business is teaching divination and practicing divination. So there's that.
Now, what kind of divination do you do?
Hexes, jinx, and curses are all thought to be evil, right?
Okay,
so,
let's get real quick. What kind of divination do you do? Because I know how to use tarot cards. Oh boy, there goes my career, right?
Yeah. I read tarot. I teach tarot. I do readings. People contact me for readings. I do readings.
What about tea leaves? Have you ever used those?
I don't do tea leaves as much. I do runes. I've done bones.
Now, what kind of runes do you do?
I have 3 different sets of runes.
No, I meant do you do the old Greek runes? Do you do the earthly bound runes where you read different petals of roses and stuff? And
okay, well, those are just other forms of divination. Those are any kind of throwing of bones, throwing of shells, throwing of flower petals, throwing of colored stones, all of that. So the rose petals, yes.
Now, for our listeners, we're actually talking about people throwing bones on the ground and seeing how much meat and not meat is on the bones. I don't understand it myself.
You throw the bones and you read the pattern that the bones have fallen in.
But who makes the patterns?
Well, everybody's got a different belief.
Oh, okay.
I think the person throwing is channeling. So I think you kind of do it because you're already in tune with what there is.
So the bones are a focus.
Yeah, but it's back to that focus of it comes through you, and when you throw them, it lands in a certain way, and then that makes clear what you couldn't articulate.
Because I've read at least 4 books on tea leaves, and each one said different symbols, and I've seen different things in the tea leaves too. at the bottom of the
Yeah.
cup or bowl
But
or whatever.
everybody has a different belief as to where it comes from, and I don't like to step on toes too much. I just say it's all some sort of energy channeling through the person doing the reading.
Well, I've often wondered where it comes from. Is there something like, let's say Aleister Crowley was Thelema and Anton LaVey was Satanism, and in the Satanism there is a ritual where you burn pieces of paper on a sword. What it's meant to do is people you don't like, the things you don't like, the things you do wrong, you burn it.
No, that's an old method. He just uses that. That's not Satanism.
Yeah. Well, for our listeners, the right way to do that is have everybody write something. You put everything on the sword, you burn it, and the negative energy is released with the smoke away from everybody. Whatever your problems are gone. Is this the same way with the bone reading and the throwing of the shells, that there's a particular way you're supposed to do it and everybody added to it, or doesn't it really matter?
It doesn't really matter. Everybody there. It comes from very ancient practices. Just Anton LaVey had this way of interpreting it, but it's a very ancient practice of write something on a leaf, on a piece of paper, on whatever it is you're writing on. Throw it into a fire. You can throw it onto a sensor with.
Now, I think you can do it with good stuff too. Can't you do it with good things, the things you want, and the fire? Because the sword was all the negative stuff is on the sword and it burns away, and everything you wanted you threw in the bowl of blood. Now, where he got this bowl of blood, I have no idea.
Oh, that's
Or was it tomato soup, for God's sakes? I don't know.
Very likely.
But they would drink it afterwards. The priestess would drink it afterwards and take all your good energy and release it into the world, which is a show and totally funny because she just drank pieces of paper.
Actually, I think LaVey used the old corn syrup mix for the blood, honestly. The old theatrical blood game.
Rumor was he got chickens and they bled into a bowl, but if you drank that, you'd get poisoned.
That won't sit long enough. You can't keep that sitting. Blood coagulates very quickly. Take it from a vampire. Blood will start to coagulate and thicken. It's not going to sit there and behave itself for as long as he had his rituals going.
But still, why would you want to burn pieces of paper and throw them in the blood and drink it in the first place?
Okay, well, here's the basic method that comes from everywhere, okay? You have whatever item you're going to write on. Let's take a piece of paper.
Yeah.
You write on there what you want to get rid of or what you want out of your life, okay? You burn it, and in burning it, you see it being consumed by the fire and leaving in a puff of smoke, literally leaving your life. It's, again, we're back to focus, visualization, making something happen.
So anybody could do this just to release stuff and
can do it.
get rid of their negativity.
Right. Exactly.
Which I'm a negativity coach. I think this positivity factor is just too much in this world. If people really
balance in all things, folks. Balance in all things.
Well, if people really, all these positive Patsies, I've always said, okay, set them on fire. Let's see what happens. See how positive they are then.
Now, the idea of if you want something to come to you, focusing on putting it into this glass of water, this whatever you're going to drink. If you're going to add something to it, say, this is the thing I'm adding. Make sure it's not toxic, Wow. And drinking is, again, it's the opposite of the other. It's bringing it into you. It's bringing it towards you. It's making it a part of yourself.
I was told
again, very basic, sympathetic magic.
I was told for show the voodoo priest would drink alcohol, like 100% alcohol stuff, and spit it on something that they knew was already hot, and then it would catch in flames and burst into a flame, and they would say, look, it did it. The gods approve, and really it was just a show of stage magic, if you would.
We're back to psychodrama. The more people infuse a belief, the more people invest in what's happening, the more energy is raised. The more likely, the better the likelihood of making something happen.
Now, does any of that really work?
Yes, it does. It does because psychology works.
Yeah, but if that's the case, then, somebody in the crowd like me or you would sit there and just laugh at that. I would laugh at that. Because obviously you don't spit stuff on stuff and it burns like Dungeons and Dragons magic.
Well, you don't just if you're going to have a ritual where you want something to happen, you have the people there who are invested in having it happen.
Yeah, yeah.
You wouldn't be there. You're not invested in it.
That's like the old faith healer. We're all going to give you, strawberry scented water, and you're going to believe it's going to heal all your stomach aches.
But look up placebos. They work.
I don't know. I was told that the coronavirus, the vaccine, was a placebo. There's some people that believe.
There is placebos work, and I just got the booster, by the way, which is why I'm slow and a little off today, because I'm still recovering from the.
So what happened to you with the booster?
Oh, I just got a lot of muscle aches. It just hurt. And I'm tired because because muscle aches hurt, and then moving hurts, and it takes more energy to move, and ow, and I'm tired. But I'm fine now. Just tired.
See, I made you fine. Coming on my show makes people's ailments go away, folks. That's why you need to be a guest on my show.
Yeah. Come see Brother Wade and be healed.
Yes. Well, there you go. So let's talk about these hexes and curses, because I'm kind of curious about this.
Okay. Jinxes, hexes, and curses, right?
Number one, what is a jinx, a hex, and a curse for our listeners is, in my opinion, is causing harm to another person willingly.
It's wishing back on them what has happened to you. Often.
But isn't
that... Jinx, okay, let's break it down. A jinx is simply kind of wishing bad luck that way. A jinx is a minor thing. Jinxes are small. Jinx is harmless. Harmless, in quotes.
But isn't that kind of doing against what we wanted? Because we want good things to come us, and the world to give us good, the universe to bless us and help us, and maybe bless isn't the word, but people can relate to it a little better.
I wish everybody the best. But if somebody is going around and being intentionally harmful, then we need to make sure that they don't harm other people.
Well, that's when you get a baseball bat.
Yeah. Baseball bats are felonies and illegal. So let's go down to jinxes, hexes, and curses.
Well, you're going to go tell somebody you did it? I wouldn't.
I don't need to find out how good CSI is in this area.
No. Anyways.
So a jinx
and we don't promote violence on this show, folks. I'm just, saying. At least don't do it in California. They have a little more laws than we do.
Healthy expressions of violence, not felony expressions of violence.
Is watching pro wrestling. No.
Okay. That's a healthy expression of violence. So a jinx is like wishing bad luck. Bang. Okay? So, like you said, lights go green, lights go red. Okay? A jinx means that they're going to trip, and if you're in a race, they will trip. You won't trip them, they will trip.
So what's the difference between that and a hex? You're doing the same thing.
That's what I'm breaking it down. No, it's not the same thing. So a hex has a little more to it. Okay. A hex is directly reflecting back energy at them. A hex is hoping that let's say the jinx is the small thing. It's just bad luck, okay? A curse is when you are really wishing intentionally things to go wrong and this person to have their life cave in on them, okay? A curse is when you are putting the most you can put at them. That is the worst. The hex is what's in between.
So if we use
a simple hex, then this is the one I most commonly use, okay? Is that everything that this person has done to others comes to light. That is a nice, simple, straightforward hex.
Well, keep that one away
from me. You're not
from
wishing anything at them. You're just wishing everything they've done suddenly becomes exposed.
Well, keep that one away from me. No. No. So let's use a tennis match here.
So there's jinx, hex, and curse.
So a jinx is you hitting the tennis ball, and the person just happened to miss it.
Yes.
A hex would be you hitting the tennis ball and it And they swing at it and they totally miss. They just
No.
miss.
A hex would be you're playing tennis with this person, and if they are caught cheating against you, and then it becomes apparent that they've cheated in other matches as well.
Okay. And a curse would be the ball lands right in their frickin' eye and hits them right in the eye, and they can't play for a month.
A curse would mean that something happens that they not only lose their ability to play tennis, they also start to lose everything else that they have pulled into their lives.
So a jinx would be the tennis ball hitting them in the eye. The hex would be them, cheating, and now they're told that they lose. And the curse would be their tennis racket breaking, and never again should they ever buy another tennis racket.
No. The curse would be things start collapsing in on them. It affects more than just their tennis career.
Oh, okay.
The curse is when is strong. Curses take a lot of energy to make them happen. Curses take a lot of focus to make them happen. And in order for a curse to happen, there has to be a lot of already negative intent at this person out there, because this person has caused a lot of harm.
Now, does it happen to you?
Curses do not often work because the person who is the focus of the curse has to have built a lot of negativity around them in order for a curse to work.
So
it doesn't bounce back on you. It just goes poof, nowhere.
So if you want to curse me,
right,
then I definitely have to be deserving and already be at that stage to have it work.
Exactly. That's just how the universe works.
So a curse would be more of a luck on your part, hoping that this person's tennis career is screwed up enough where it's going to do more damage.
No. Curse is not luck. Curse is this person is a harmful, toxic person. You send curses to toxic people. If you are a petty individual and you're trying to send a curse to somebody who is not toxic, who is a nice person, who has, it's not going to go anywhere.
Like me.
But you are now building the negative energy around you.
So here's my next question. What does it do to you giving this? Because I was always thought karma will come and get you for whatever you do to somebody else, no matter what it is.
Well, if you are building up a lot of harmful energy around you, trying to harm people that do not deserve harm, then that would be karma. Has that's what people mean commonly as karma right now, and that is you are building up a lot of things. This isn't any threefold rule or any of that other nonsense, and no reflecting back at you, but you are actually building your own space in which things will collapse.
So 2 questions kind of in one.
Build a rotten building, the building will fall.
One, can you put a curse on somebody that doesn't deserve it and it work? No. And 2, how do you as a business person put a curse on someone if you don't know that other person? If somebody comes to you and says, I want to curse on somebody, how do you know they're like me? How do you know that they're not a decent, wonderful person and they don't deserve this at all, that the person just wants to spend money and be stupid?
There are a lot of people who will charge you a lot of money and tell you they will put a curse on your enemies. That's how they make money.
And let me guess, about maybe 90% of these people don't even bother to light a candle.
Nope, a lot of them don't do anything. Some of them will go through because they want to show you that they're doing the work. They'll put the psychodrama up for you, But very few of those people are in any way genuine. They are getting your money. Now, there are people who do try to offer services and do try to help.
Now, do you do that? Do you offer these services to people? Like if a listener says, I want to get even with my ex?
They will find it's not as easy. Well, I've had people contact me and I say, we will go through this if you want to, but they don't usually want to hang on because it's not as simple. Give me your money. I will do this and it's done. And that's what they want. People never come to me wanting to actually know how to make this work. They want to give me their money and have me do something, and it goes through. And because I don't want to just take money for people like that, I don't do that.
Okay.
But I will help you put a curse up or put a hex up, actually. I prefer to do hexes. Curses are ridiculously involved, and most people don't want to pay that kind of money, really.
Well, I don't know anybody to hex.
Or time. It's the time that really gets them.
I don't know anybody to hex. I really don't know anybody to do that to. I could probably think of a few people, but they're already getting what they get because they are that way anyways, like you just said.
Exactly. Isn't it amazing how the universe works?
But I would like to, after the break, see if a spell will work. Now, I do have a candle here, if I can find it.
Okay.
Maybe we could do something to make my podcast better, to get me more listeners, to get me more guests, to get me more success.
Now, here's the point. This is short notice.
Well, what I'm saying is we will go through with me what is supposed to be done.
Okay.
Now,
okay.
I don't know if I light this candle. I don't know if I have to sacrifice a rat and let the
You do not have
candle
to sacrifice a rat.
soak in the blood overnight. I was told you're supposed to wipe all candles down with olive oil 24 hours and put them under a full moon. Which reminds me, is any of this stuff even something, or is it just ritual? Because I was told some spells you have to do under the full moon. If you don't do them on certain days, they won't work.
Ritual is all psychodrama. Every single one.
So all of these holidays and all of these full moons, and put your crystals out on the Easter full moon, they will charge them better.
All of it.
All of it is nonsense.
Not nonsense, but it is all psychodrama. It is all ritual. That is not necessarily nonsense.
So it's somebody's opinion. What I mean is it's somebody's opinion and not real, actual, factual, you got to do this.
There is never any real factual, actual, you got to do it. How about that?
Okay. Because I have read in spell books, or I have two of them here. Oh boy, I have 2 spell books. I must be a bad person now.
Don't look at my shelf.
I have some that say that they have to be done on certain days, or I just have them because they were given to me. One was given to me by a friend of mine, and one I just went to a flea market, and she said, "Hey, Wade, you'll be interested in this. It's done me well, and I've never really done anything out of it." But that's pretty weird that somebody gives it to me. And I don't really think it's a spell book. I think it's more of a recipe book for really bad food, if you really thought about it.
Mm-hmm. All spells work and no spells work. It all depends on the person
now
who
explain
is
that,
doing
because that's a little oddly that you said that. All spells work and no spells work.
Right.
So
exactly.
Probably based on the person and how they do it and why.
Yep, and there's so much that goes into it.
Because I have for years said there's got to be somebody that wrote down something to do a plan for something. So it's kind of like playing Dungeons and Dragons. I can do whatever I want, but the book is there for a guide to make it so we're not all chaos yelling at each other at the table.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. 100%.
Which that's going to happen anyways. Which brings me to then how do you do...
You always got that one guy who says it doesn't apply to them, right?
Then how do you make a business out of something that actually is not real?
Now, I didn't say it wasn't real. I just said that all spells work and no spells work, but that doesn't make it not real.
Well, there's got to be a recipe to say it's done this way, it should be done that way, and don't do it this way.
That's why you have different groups, and that's why you find the group that works for you. That's why you find the practice that works for you. Because if you find the thing that aligns with you, then it works.
So it's kind of like the vampire thing you were talking about. Whatever group setting they like, they can do.
Right.
So then why do people make a big deal about it, saying theirs is better than somebody else's?
Everybody says that.
Or is
about everything.
Or are they the ones you stay away from because they really don't know anything about it?
They're... Oh, I could say some really mean things.
Well, put some hexes on people. No. Now, is there
I don't
anything?
need to.
Okay, here's the
They're
thing.
tripping over their own shoelaces. I don't really need to do that.
Is there any way for the listeners today, if they think they've been hexed, that they think they've been cursed, they're now fidgeting in their shoes, they're now sitting there going, oh my God, this is horrible. This lady's right. I have a curse put on me by my ex. What can they do besides saying it's not real? Which I've always been told, if you don't believe it, it won't happen, because you'll work yourself up into it happening anyways, even if nobody's done anything.
Okay, yes, they are worked up into it, and you need to help them through that. And the same thing that got them in will get them out, okay? So you need to approach that as this person believes, and therefore it is real, and so you need to back them back out of that. However, one of the most common ways for charlatans to make money is to do an energy reading or whatever reading, and then go, oh, you have a curse on you. I can help you remove that curse, but it's going to cost you this much money.
So no one should pay to have a curse removed.
I understand paying to have a curse removed, and if you come to me, you will be paying to have a curse removed because of how much work I have to put in of my time to talk you through it, to work you through it, to give you the rituals and other things you need to extricate yourself from this curse.
Now, you're using the words you as the customer has to do this,
right.
Not you, correct?
I guide you through it.
So you're like a hypnotist. The person's actually in there reliving the dream. You're just guiding them where to go.
That is all I can do. That's all anybody can do. Remember, you are the center of your universe.
So
everything that walks you around has to be a guide. You have to do it.
So what simple things right now for our listeners that are listening? What can somebody simply do to help them against the curse? If they're even cursed and not worked up about it now that we've talked about it.
Here is the easiest thing to do. Okay? Everybody's got computers these days, right?
Yeah.
And the computer has certain ports that go in, right?
Yeah.
So if you believe there is a curse, and if things are happening, that means that there is a certain receptive port that this is plugged into. Find out what in you is attracting this and heal it. No curse will be able to attach to that afterwards.
But what happens if it can't be found?
Oh, it can always be found.
Well, I mean, some people don't have the ability to look at themselves and say, well, like me, and I'm an annoying prick, and that's why, I get what I get.
If you can't do it yourself, that's where you need to be walked through. That's where you need to get the help.
Now, how much are these services on a basis of how much are they supposed to pay? I mean, should somebody be charged like a tarot reading? I don't know why people charge, $100 for a tarot reading when they can get the same thing for $25.
Everybody has their own rates. I don't make rates for other people. My rates are clearly posted on my website and on my Facebook page.
So people don't get scammed. Because
people don't get scammed.
I can see
the higher the price, well, it depends, because some people who are in high demand can charge more, and they just do.
Yeah, but how do they know they're not scam? If I went to you and you said, Wade, my ex-husband put a curse on me. He was a warlock. He was evil. I would first look at you and say, God, that person would be a nice person to meet. Can you get him on my podcast? Secondly, I would say, how do you know this? And want, information about how they're evil and they're disgusting and things like that. And then secondly, I don't know if I would approach somebody that thinks another person is just totally nuts when they were in a relationship with them in the first place, so they might have caused 50% of it, because two people in a relationship, you're both responsible for what you're doing.
The toxic person in a relationship never starts out showing how toxic or nuts they are. They always show up with a very well curated facade of being often nice, generous, romantic, caring. They can put that forward. It doesn't last. It starts to crumble the longer the relationship goes on. But it breaks down slowly. It doesn't just show up overnight. So people get suckered in slowly.
But if somebody put a curse on them, what should we watch out for? What should they do? What should they ask? What should they? How would they pick somebody to do this for them that would legitimately help them? And I don't want my listeners being scammed if they suspect they might have a problem.
Always approach it with a healthy amount of skepticism. Look at what they say, listen to what they say, listen to how they say. And if it starts to feel shady, it probably is. Back out.
Yeah. Well, to me, any of this kind of sounds shady business-wise, but I know it's not. Now, when you say shady, like extraordinary promises that are dumb, things that we can do ourselves that we don't need to pay somebody else to do.
Right.
Like, for instance, in a tarot reading, if somebody comes to you and says, I want to meet a lover, but they're married, that's kind of odd here. Why do you want a tarot reading? What's going on? Or if the tarot person tells you, I guaranteed love. Really? You guaranteed? You have them sitting right there for me?
Yeah, well, you see, that kind of like extreme promises, that's obviously a scam.
It's
Exactly.
like that person at the state fair. Guaranteed fortune, guaranteed love, guaranteed success.
Oh, they'll come
Really,
on,
you have
know.
the money sitting there to hand me the check after the reading, and you have the person there for the person that wants to get married, and you have the successful job waiting for the person.
You know, most of what I do has a counseling base to all of it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And if they did not listen to the last show, I encourage them to go to it because we covered a lot of that stuff in that show.
We did.
We can go up to my website, www.brotherwade.com is my news website. I don't know if you've checked it out or not, but it is new. It has an archive section on it with her interview. It'll have this interview right up there as soon as we get done. Which we'll need a new picture for, and so now what areas, now that we're talking about taxes and curses, is this for anybody to do? Can somebody that knows magic, let's say somebody's a witch and they say, I want to start doing this, is this for anybody, or is this not? It's something you should look into before you start going around doing it.
Well, I mean, learn the basics. It's like any skill, you know, learn what you're doing, figure it out, you know, do the groundwork, do the basic learning of the pieces of it and stuff like that. But yeah, anybody can do them.
Now, is there any dangers to doing this?
If you're a petty person, there's a danger to the way you live your life, period. The taxes and curses aren't going to make much of a difference.
Well, I meant like what the universe would give back to you,
It's not the hex, again, it's not this that is going to do it. It's your general overall way of living life. And this is a small part of it. Will this be part of it? As everything else is. I mean, if you have a tendency to, you know, push old people out of the way to get that cab, or, you know, not hold the door for somebody coming down the hallway when the elevator's closing, you know, if that's the kind of person you are, then there's so much in your life that is
You're
attracting.
supposed to hold the door for the person with the elevator?
If somebody says, please hold the door, it's a nice thing to hold the door.
Oh, if somebody says it. I was going to say,
Yeah.
I never held an elevator door for anybody.
No. But if somebody's asking, or if you see them rushing, you know, that kind of a thing. If you're the person who flips them off as the door shuts, you know, you got a lot coming.
What happens if they're crazy and you don't want them in the elevator, would you?
Well, see, that's sensible.
I mean, what happens if they have a clown costume on and balloons and they're like, hang on, going to the corporate party upstairs? Are you allowed
Do you have a fear of clowns?
No, I do not have a fear of clowns. No. I know people that do, and I know the president of PAC, People Against Clowns.
Yeah.
Now, I used to work for the circus. I have a fear of clowns when they're out of their makeup and gear, okay? Mm-hmm. I had to see them when they're not in makeup. And trust me, folks, you're better off seeing them when they are in makeup. You haven't seen my Facebook too much, have you?
Yes, I have.
Audrey. Well, did you see my little makeup costume there?
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah. I did frighten myself in that costume, though. Does that count as a fear of a clown? And you notice, folks, when I did this Halloween thing, I was not all bloody. And I didn't have a knife in my hand. I dressed like a circus clown, and I scared
No, that
more
was our
people.
Halloween. We did a Giallo Halloween, so there was a lot of blood around here.
What did you do?
Our Halloween theme was Giallo.
What's that?
It's a specific style of horror film.
What is it called?
Giallo. It's Italian.
Giallo. What is that, like a spaghetti western?
No. Dario Argento and all those marvelous black glove, blood splatter.
What is it, like a snuff film or something?
No. Have you ever heard of Suspiria?
I don't know if I have or not.
Suspiria is a horror film, and it is a Giallo. There's an entire genre of horror films called Giallo.
Name some other films. Maybe I don't watch horror films. Jason and Freddy Krueger for funny laughs, and Leatherface because it reminds me so much of my family.
Yep. No, you probably won't know of these, but there is a genre of horror films called Giallo. Giallo. Giallo.
Name some movies. Maybe I do.
Well, Suspiria is the most famous that most people would know if they don't know much.
I think I've heard of Suspiria. Is that the one with the guy with the balls running around?
I have no idea what you mean by that.
Is that the one with the old man that had those balls that bounced all over the hallways and chasing the little kid all the time?
No.
What was Suspiria about?
Suspiria is about the story overall is a dance school in Europe. There are two versions of Suspiria. There's the original and then there's the remake.
Which one's better?
But the school is run by witches.
Okay. I'm trying to think. I've heard that name. Maybe I've even played the movie advertisement on my advertisement bundle there. I'm not sure. See, I don't do good with movies when people just name them off like this. If I've seen it. How do you spell it?
Suspiria?
Yeah.
S-U-S. Hang on, let me find it. I'm not looking at it. I'm not very good at spelling things out loud all the time, so give me a second.
Wait a minute, I found it.
Okay.
I think I know this one. Yes, I do. Suspiria. It was a horror and mystery. Dario and Argentino and Jessica Harper were in it.
That was the original.
That was the original. Yes, I do know about it. Yes, I have. I don't know if I've seen it, but I do know it by the thing of it.
Yeah.
And yes, I did have it one of my advertisement bundles at one time, yes. That doesn't look like much of a horror film. So it was one of those gory types with all the blood and the guts.
No, yeah, they're very atmospheric. They have a certain aesthetic to them, and so our horror movie, our Halloween theme was Giallo.
So you just splattered blood all over the walls and.
Oh no.
Had a dance school.
It wasn't based on only that movie.
Oh.
It was based on the whole genre.
And these movies are famous, or are they kind of like those B-rated things?
Like I said, it's an entire genre, so there are A-list movies and B-list movies and Z-list movies. It's a whole genre.
I gotta look this whole genre up now. What's it called again? I can't even say the word. Giallo.
Giallo. I just put it in the comments on the side.
Okay, okay. I gotta look that up later because I've never heard of that. Huh.
If they're well done, they're amazing. If they're badly done, they're fun.
Oh, one of those.
Yeah. I would say a really good one is Argento's The Church. That's probably one of my favorites.
I've heard of that movie.
That's probably one of my absolute favorites.
I think I've even seen that one. It's a horror film, of course, yes.
Yeah.
Huh. Maybe I have seen it and not realized what it was. Huh. Any werewolf movies in that series?
I don't think so. They tend to be more black mass witches, sometimes Satanism, sometimes just a killer. Just a black glove killer.
Well, that one Dracula movie must have been like that then. Brides of Dracula or something.
No, but Argento did make a Dracula movie.
Yes, it was the one where Dracula did that ceremony where they all drank the blood and turned into Dracula.
No, that was not his, but he did do a Dracula movie. That wasn't his.
Which one was his?
I believe it's actually called Dracula.
Really?
Yep.
Huh. Well, I got to go see this then. Now he directed it?
His daughter is Aja Argento.
I don't know who that is.
She was in Triple X with Vin Diesel.
Really? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I saw some of that. See, I like sword and sorcery movies. I like sci-fi movies. Triple X could be sci-fi to a degree, I would think. Action movie type thing. And Vin Diesel's the one that starred in Pitch Black, right?
Yes.
Yes. Started another one too recently. Anyways, now that we know that I'm not a movie buff here. So maybe we should try this spell thing, but I'm not sure. I kind of don't want to do it, and then I kind of do. Anyways, one more question here before we kind of wrap it up. If somebody was looking to get in this field,
yes,
we've talked about it a little. What would they have to do? What would some of the benefits or non-benefits be? And what would you suggest for them getting into the field so that they don't either mess up or that they enjoy it being in the field of the dark arts?
Well, first of all, you want to educate yourself on magic practice in general. There are lots of books. Find something that lines with you, or find a group, find a teacher, find somebody. You know, there are different ways to get in.
Okay.
If you want to go into dark practicing, the dark practices, these do require a lot of psychological bravery. You have to be willing to face yourself and do the shadow work, do the inner work on yourself. Or you can't really call yourself a dark practitioner because you've got to get deep into those dark parts. You got to get deep into the subconscious, down into those deep wells in order to do that kind of practice. That's where it comes from. That's where it's powered. That's where its source is. And if you can't do that work, then you will not be able to do the practicing part.
So the practicing part is just basically a show, and you have to do the practicing of the dancing. You have to do the practice of the thing.
If you want to dance, you can put on music and dance. If you want to be a ballet dancer, you've got to go through the discipline.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's more than just that performance on stage. It's everything that happens before that and the behind the scenes. And
if everybody who cracked open LeVay's book managed to practice dark arts successfully, we would be overrun right now, because every disenfranchised teenager in high school has picked up that book or has lit a black candle and tried to do something. It doesn't work that way. It requires being able to do the inner work.
Now, when you say pick up the book, you're talking about LeVay's Book of Satanism.
Yeah, I don't know. I knew so many kids in high school, and I still know so many high school kids that will pick it up because it says Satanic Bible, and they think they're being all dark and mysterious.
Well, if you really want a challenge, don't read his book on rituals. If you really want a
you can't do that
literary challenge.
pick up LaVey's book. I suggest everybody should pick it up and read it. It's a good thing to understand. I wouldn't say that it is a requirement. I would just say that it's just one of those things that everybody should read.
Well,
You know?
he wasn't dumb. He wasn't stupid. He was very
He has a lot of
smart,
great, insightful things to say about society and about human nature.
and he was and he owned a
everybody-
lion, by the way, and he also had his cellar full of mannequins because he said he hated talking to people, and he could talk about the mannequins and dress them in any way.
And he's more accessible than Crowley. He's easier to understand than Crowley, but Crowley is hard to understand on purpose.
Well, Crowley also didn't want people that weren't in the field to understand him already. He wanted people, like you start with, the book of, the witches that you find at the flea market of spells, and then you go to the Satanism book, and then you can pick up the Aleister Crowley book because you already are in the field.
Yep, but always pick up. The best starting point is, if you want to start with understanding that kind of stuff, is to pick up LaVey's Satanic Bible, because it's actually just an explanation.
Well,
it's not a Bible, but it's an explanation.
Well, if you want to,
book doesn't make sense without the other one.
No, if you want to,
But if you want to do dark practices, then you need to understand dark psychology. You need to understand shadow work. You need to understand the darker, deeper parts that you've been told in you are off limits.
Now, what do you mean by shadow work?
Shadow work is just that, getting into what you've been told you need to suppress, what you've been told about yourself is wrong or undesirable, what you have, all the things that you have been taught by society or traumatized and hide.
Well, I've probably already past that point. I've never tried to change or hide or suppress anything.
Everybody's got things that they don't realize they haven't questioned yet. You go through this type of work and you are getting to the point where you are in the dark practices now.
Is there a limit where it's too much?
It frees you from the control, and you start making up your own mind about what is and is not healthy for you. What is and is not for you.
Is there a place where it's too much, where the person should stop and rethink?
No, but there are points where you but there are points if you have deep traumas where you need to have help getting through it.
Professional.
That's where counselors, therapists,
yeah,
spiritual counselors like myself can help you through that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Which is a whole nother topic for a show, but spiritual counseling.
Shadow work would itself be a whole topic on its own.
Yeah. But how does one do
Shadow
this?
work is my specialty.
How does one get into the hexes and curses successfully and safely now? How does, if they've already done this and they would say, hey, I like to do hexes and curses.
Mm-hmm.
Because my recommendation is don't do it unless you absolutely know what the hell you're doing, because it's not going to be good.
Yeah, well, learn what you're doing, and practice makes perfect.
It's like changing a transmission on a car. Unless you actually know what you're doing, do not take the transmission out of the car.
A jinx is not the transmission on a car. A jinx is checking your oil.
Yeah, well.
A curse is changing the transmission on your car.
Even for me, checking the oil is kind of,
Yeah, a jinx is a simple thing. Okay?
You do realize I've never changed a tire on a car my entire life. Yes, I'm a real man, aren't I? Somebody has a flat tire, well, call a tow truck because I don't know what I'm doing.
I know how to change a tire. I know how to check the oil.
Yeah,
blah, 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 blah.
I know how to check the oil only because I had to, because the car had no oil in it. The driver before me said that the car didn't need any oil because there was too much and drained it.
Oh, good Lord.
Oh, I have stories, trust me. I've been in transportation a while too, and It's definitely, there's some smart people out there when it comes to cars, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a whole nother topic.
So,
now changing your oil, what kind? That's another thing, because everybody will argue what filters are the best.
okay. To
Now,
start to set up for a spell
yeah.
to improve your broadcast. Now, do you want the broadcast to reach more people?
Well, see, I want to focus on getting good guests. I
Okay.
want to focus on the quality of my program being good.
Okay.
And yes, reaching more people would be nice, but if my audience is at 1,000 and we want to jump to 2,000, let's start with 1,500 first. Let's get the people that there to the show to watch it, to tell their. If everybody that listened to my show told 5 people, I'd have a lot of people listening.
I don't know if we can do this in a short amount of time, because this does require back and forth a little bit. But the first thing you want to do, if you want to start spell work, the first thing you want to do is you want to take a piece of paper or whatever and write down what it is you want. And if this is your first spell or first time doing something, you want to try to keep it fairly simple at first. Okay? So, pick something like, I want to attract more guests, or I want to attract a certain level of guests, right?
Yeah. I want to attract.
So you need.
See, I don't know how to spell any of these words.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead while I write.
Okay. So what have you picked that you want to work on?
Let's attract more listeners. So I've written it on a piece of regular printer paper.
Yeah. What we're doing is, this is just, you're writing your notes. This is how you're going to put it together.
Yeah.
Because, okay. So, all right. So you want to get more listeners.
You fold it in half, write a pentagram on it, then what?
No. This is the worksheet. This isn't the actual spell. Okay. So, so what symbolizes more listeners to you? What sort of a thing would, when you look at it, what comes to mind when you think, I want to get more listeners?
More people being able to access the show, more people listening to the show, more people attracted to the show, more people getting involved with the show, and more people obviously listening. If I'm at I think I'm at 1,000 now that listen to archives. Let's have live listeners. Let's reach more people. Let's have more things to reach them. Let's have the people telling their friends, and they telling their friends.
Mm-hmm.
That's what getting more listeners about. Not just people hearing it while I'm on Facebook, my website being seen, it being seen on YouTube, it being seen on TikTok, it being seen on Facebook. Listeners coming to the show, they're listening, they're participating, they're involved with it, they like the topic. Anybody, any topics on this show.
Okay. So let's try this. So let's say that let's use an old-fashioned image of a radio tower where you used to see those like lines going out, that was the signal going out.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Like I have sitting over there in the corner with an FM broadcast.
Yeah, kind of like that. You know that old RKO symbol of the radio tower?
Yeah.
Okay, so that is what you're going to use as a mental image, okay?
Okay.
So you want to write that down, that's what you're going to use as a mental image.
So I draw this tower.
Or just write down mental image this tower, right, kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. Best I can do a drawing.
Yeah, you don't have to do a drawing. You can just describe it. Just write it down.
Yeah. Okay, got it.
Okay. So, and you are right now sitting where it is you normally do this podcast, right?
Yeah, pretty much, until we start changing things around. Yeah, I do this podcast every week sitting here, here in front of my computer. Yes.
That's the perfect place then to do the spell.
Okay.
Okay?
So do we have to light a candle and sacrifice a cat?
No.
So I don't get to sacrifice a cat?
Sorry.
I was looking forward to that. I really was.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't say
Sorry.
that with cat lovers listening.
Cat lovers have a sense of humor. I hope.
What about a chihuahua? Would sacrificing a chihuahua be better?
No, that's a public service.
Oh,
They're
okay.
yappy. I love dogs. I love chihuahuas. My friend had the best chihuahua in the world, but I make jokes.
I'm technically allergic to cats.
Me too. We've discussed that
And
before.
how do you have cats? I saw a video with cats. How do you have cats if you're allergic?
Quite simple. I get used to our cats, and I don't have an allergic reaction to them anymore.
Oh.
But if I go see a friend's cat that I'm not used to, I have to make sure to not touch my face, and when I get home, take the allergy medicine.
And stay away from your cats because they will smell them on you.
They're used to that.
Oh.
Okay, so back to the spell work. Okay, a candle, if it helps you focus, okay?
That's like over there.
Yep. Well, we're putting together what you're going to do right now, okay? So if a candle helps you focus, then say, okay, have a candle. A white candle is perfect. A black candle is also perfect. Or if there's a color of candle that, just the color suits you personally, or suits what you think, when you think of your voice getting out.
No, I have no idea what color that would be. That would.
Yeah. People have different associations,
Okay.
People have different associations. There are people who, if they study the chakras, would associate blue with the throat and with the voice. So they would have a blue candle. There are many reasons to have it. White means energy. Black means energy. They both work.
All right.
And they are all applicable. You can use these for anything. Okay? Now, a good idea is to put together a kind of mantra, just a couple of quick phrases that bring together what you want.
Okay.
People will hear me. People will see me. People will hear me. People will see me is a really good simple one.
Okay.
People will hear me. People will see me. People will talk about me is another one. You don't want it to get too long. You want it to be just quick, simple, easy to repeat.
Okay. I got that.
Okay. I personally often use a bell or a chime or even something that just rings when you hit it. Because it's a good resounding, that's a good resounding sound to start and end with.
Okay. I don't necessarily have that anymore.
Do you have anything? I mean, even if you have a glass that you can just ting and it goes bong.
I don't believe I have that.
Okay.
Huh. Okay. Okay, what's next?
Okay, so now you have basically what you need for a basic spell. Like I said, I would use the sound to open and close. Some kind of sound that just rings a bit.
Yeah.
You can even find a sound on your cell phone or on YouTube or something. Sound of a bell. Bong.
Yeah.
Okay? And then what you're going to do is you're going to get everything together in space, have your piece of paper so that you know what you're doing. It's okay to look at the piece of paper. When you want to do the spell, let me run through it first, okay?
Yeah.
You're going to want to do something that says you're opening this moment. That's what the sound is. Boom, I'm opening, okay?
Yeah.
You can even sing out a note if you want, but I'm not sure how confident you are in the sound of your voice.
No, not really. I mean, I'm confident enough to speak in this microphone, but I
So
ain't in a church choir.
You would make the sound. Okay. You would light the candle and picture in your mind that radio tower with the sound going out.
Okay.
And then you say that little mantra you've made. You can say it 3 times. You can say it 7 times. You can say it 9 times. Say it until it feels right. Sit there for a minute and just let that all sit for a moment. And then,
Okay.
now that you've let the energy out, you can say, now my energy is out. Now I have set this in motion. And then you will put out the candle and make the sound again, and you're done.
Okay. Okay.
And that would be how you would go through it. That is a very simple, pared down.
Now, what would you do on your end to make this even better?
What would you add to it to make it stronger, or what will you add more?
No, I meant, are you going to add anything to it on your end?
I gave you the spell for you to do. You want me to do it? You want me to do something on this end to help it?
I don't know. Is that what you would do? Is that what?
Well, when I am going through my meditations, I would picture your website, picture you, and I would also see that radio tower. And then I would say, his voice will be heard. He will be seen. People will talk about him the same way. I would say it a few times myself in my own circle to add power to it, to add energy to it. So we are both putting this out there.
Now, this is just like the job thing. People will come and want to be guests, and I'll have to act on it. And then I'll have to do stuff with it. Yeah.
But then, people should start catching on, and you should start getting more responses.
Yeah. I should. Yes. Okay.
But also, if something comes to you afterwards, like, oh, this might raise my profile, then the universe is giving you answers as well. It's saying, say something comes up and
I get that stuff all the time. I get ideas all the time, but I don't think some of these ideas are going to work out very well.
Yeah. If something comes up that says, list your podcast here, or, you'll see opportunities, take them, use them. And with this behind it, everything gets more of a push.
Okay.
Because part of the problem people have is they may say they want something, and they may say they really want it, but they don't focus on the fact that they really want it.
Yeah.
And if they do rituals that help them to focus, they start to see more than they saw before. They become more focused. Things come into focus better. So their energy is lining up, and they are actually able to understand where the path is ahead.
Okay.
Kind of turning on the light.
Yeah, that made sense. That made sense, because you have to be aware of what you've asked for. It's like if you want to win the lottery, you got to be aware of the numbers, and you have to be aware of what tickets you're buying, and you have to be aware when you do win how to get the money.
And we all know that every day has a tendency to put distractions up all the time. I mean, right here while I'm talking to you, I've had my partner come over a couple of times to check on me. I've had a couple of cats come over and sit on my lap and mess around, like try to get my attention and go off. I have other things happening. The neighbors are yelling something next door, and something happened out on the highway that I can hear a distance off, Lots of distractions. But if I'm focused on what I want, those things are just going to be like in the periphery, and I'm not going to notice them.
Yeah.
However, if I'm paying attention or getting my attention pulled away all the time, I don't focus on what I want. And we all have distractions pulling our attention all the time. When we start doing things like spells like this, they start to pull your focus back to what you want, and they help you see more clearly. And then you start to see things when they land in front of you. So magic works on so many levels. But the most important level it works on is helping you to see what it actually is you want and start moving forward that way.
Okay. That all made sense. But those distractions are probably everyday distractions.
Oh yeah.
That you would only notice if you were doing something else. Like if your partner came over and said hi to you, then, or whatever they wanted from you while you were talking, and the cats are talking, they probably do that all the time, and you never notice that that cat has disturbed you until you were on this show and said, "Oh, my cat is disturbing me."
Well, if I'm trying to if I'm writing one of my books, when I'm writing, and I've got a focus and attention going, and I'm writing something and it's in my mind and I'm writing on it, if my attention gets pulled away, I've lost my train of thought. And it takes me a moment to get it back.
That's why I tend to record stuff and then write it. Because then you can just speak it and say it, and then you can go back from like my Dungeons and Dragons adventures. I will speak ideas, I will say ideas, and then I go back and listen to them, and then I can add to them as I go.
Exactly. But everybody has distractions all the time, and one of the big things that spells help do is help you start to pull your focus to what you want.
So how many of your books are done? You want to plug any of those?
No, I don't want to plug any of them right now.
You don't want to plug in?
None of them are currently published. I'm working on all of that.
So how are you going to publish? You're going to self-publish or wait till somebody else decides?
I'm looking into both options. There was a publisher that was interested before the pandemic hit, and that all fell through, as you can tell. So,
because I was told self-publishing is better, and then I was told no because you'll be spending a lot of money and nobody will buy it.
Right.
And then you get on Amazon, and all I know is if you publish on Amazon, I was told it loses value of your publication. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
But
I'm looking into various ways. I'm just going to try to make the decision that works best for me. That's what it's going to come down to.
Well, then you can come up and plug your book on my show.
Absolutely. When I get them published, everybody's going to hear about it. I will post it everywhere.
And what are they going to be
on? Buy my book.
What are they going to be
buy
on?
My books.
What are they going to be on? What topics are you writing a book about?
I have several books that I'm working on that are on tarot, and I have a couple of books that I'm working on that are actually on dark practices.
And are any of them going to mention my podcast?
Well, now, yes, I could probably do that. We can talk about that. I could definitely say you can hear me talking here.
Or hey, if you want an autograph, if you want a discount on my book, you have to listen to 100 of his shows. Yes. I got no advice for giving any advice because I was told I need to write a book about my experiences in the circus and everything else. But publishers don't want it.
Interesting.
Well, I knew somebody who was in college in a doctorate program, and they had to have something published. A simple, I guess it was 50-page thing published, and she could never do it. So if you can't get something published for your college professor, how am I doing it for money?
Oh, college professors notoriously have trouble getting published.
No, I meant for class, all the students have to have something published. They have to have 2 things published. Well, if you can't get it published for a college course, then how are you going to get it published for money?
Oh.
I don't know. And the publisher has rights to it, and then it takes away your rights, and then they can do what they want to it.
That all comes down to, you see, if you have to publish it for a class, you have a short window that you have to do it in. If you're publishing it for yourself, then you have the time to do the research and to check in all the different things that are available. Because
and your friend's also a lawyer, so she can get right on them if they tried screwing around.
Oh, she is not a publishing lawyer. She is a landlord-tenant lawyer.
Oh, a landlord-tenant lawyer. That's exactly what I know. So what is that like? That would be a show to have.
Yep, I've got I have 2 partners. One is a landlord-tenant lawyer, and the other one is a programmer.
And what does the programmer
do? That's actually what she's doing right now. She's on the other side of the apartment right now working on her programming.
Well, program is easy. You just type a bunch of letters nobody understands, and you get a thing working, right?
Exactly. That is exactly what she does.
And in between, you eat a lot of Chinese.
And something magic happens.
Yeah. Unless you get the big blue screen, and you got to start all over again.
Yep, that's an oops.
Or I think it's a green screen if you're a publisher, right? A green screen? I don't know. I don't know a thing
I
about
don't
computers.
think anything goes to the blue screen anymore, actually.
I have no idea. I don't even know how to make it go there the first time to see if I could do it, so...
Blue screen of death.
But does it really die if you can reset it?
Yep.
Didn't they all come with a disc where you just put the disc back in and redo it?
A lot of things now are on the thumb drive, not on the disk.
No, I mean, aren't the programs used to come with a Windows disc? So
That's outdated.
So if you're screwed up, you could just put it in the computer?
Discs are outdated. Now it's on the thumb drive.
Oh, a thumb drive. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
So all these CDs I have are outdated?
Yeah, don't look at me. I still got a pile of vinyl over there.
Well, I was just going to say, it's kind of funny. We started with circular things that ran on a needle, and we ended with circular things that ran on a needle. So we haven't advanced too much here.
Now we've just got this little USB thing that plugs in.
You got any Grateful Dead vinyl?
Personally, no.
You got any Megadeth vinyl?
Yes.
You got any Pink Floyd on vinyl?
No. I have Black Sabbath and Dio and Alice Cooper and Kiss.
Which Kiss?
All of them.
Oh, all of them. Well, you need
all of the Alice Cooper, too.
You need Pink Floyd's The Wall on vinyl.
We have that on disc somewhere.
Well, you need it on vinyl. You need to hang it up on the wall.
You need to hang it up on the wall.
Next to your other thing that has the little kangaroo on it. Not saying I have those things. Next to the Care Bear collection, which I'm not saying I have. Nope, I'm not admitting to any of that stuff.
Not admitting to any of that stuff. And I don't eat Count Chocula in the morning.
What about Frankenberry?
I don't like strawberry flavor.
What about Mummy Yummy?
Mummy Yummy they don't make anymore, but that was good.
What about Fruity Wolf?
Fruit Brute? Yeah, I like that too, but they don't make it anymore either.
They do at Halloween.
At Halloween last year, they made the Monster Mash, which was all of them mixed together, which was cool.
Oh,
I still have some of that.
That's horrible.
And a couple years ago, they put all 5 of them out, and I got them all.
And didn't the Ghost have a missus with him at one time too?
Blueberry?
Yeah.
I don't remember a missus with the Blueberry.
I think
but I do think it's hilarious that the Blueberry talks like Peter Lorre.
It does what? What does it do?
Blueberry, the voice is like Peter Lorre. It's a Peter Lorre impersonation.
I have no idea who that is.
Peter Lorre?
No, I don't.
Vincent Price, Bela Lugosi, Boris Karloff, Peter Lorre, the greats of horror.
Is he the one that starred as the Phantom of the Opera, or was that Lon Chaney?
That was Lon Chaney Sr.
Senior. Lon Chaney Jr. was the werewolf.
Right.
The Wolf Man. Oh, I'm sorry.
The Wolf Man. Right.
It was a werewolf.
Yes.
Then they just did a remake of that.
They keep doing remakes of that.
Well, anyways, we're winding down
Peter
to the
Lorre,
end here.
Peter Lorre is the little guy with the sort of like bulging eyes and that creepy little voice. That's Peter Lorre.
I have no idea who that is. Was that the one that started the Frankenstein helper there?
Yep. Nope.
I don't know who Peter Lorre is. I'll have to look
He
him
was
up.
in a classic movie called M.
M? I don't know what that was either.
Oh, you should see that. That is definitely a movie to see.
Where would I see that? On Amazon Prime?
You might find it there, yes.
What about the Raven movie with Vincent Price there? Now that's something we can talk about.
The Raven movie with Vincent Price has Peter Lorre in it.
Oh, it does have Peter Lorre in it.
Yes, it does.
Where is Peter Lorre in that movie?
He's the guy that comes in who has been turned into the Raven.
Huh.
And Vincent Price turns him back into Dr. Craven, and then you see Peter Lorre through the rest of the movie.
Oh, so I might have seen him already then.
But he was a comedy actor, an improv comedy actor on stage until he did the movie M. No actor would take that role, so Peter Lorre got the
I
role.
know who he is now.
No.
Now that I see a picture of him, I know who he is. Yes, he's the one that Bugs Bunny used to make fun of a lot.
Yes.
He was with that one character where they went into that cat. They're making fun of the honeymooners, and they were gonna go into a cat to eat or something, and the cat tried to eat them as mice.
I don't remember that.
No, you don't know the Bugs Bunny cartoons?
I know some of them, not all of them.
They're very, very bad. They make children do bad things, and they promote violence, and the Coyote makes people play with TNT, and they were very racist, and yeah, right.
Yeah, they were very racist. That is true.
Well, yeah, right. Well, us kids never thought of that while we were watching it. I don't know how many Bugs Bunny's cartoons I watched, and I never thought of racism one time. Not once. But I guess they were pretty racist, from what people said. And they said Sesame Street was wrong, too.
Sesame Street has always been improving itself.
Well, they said that the children were left home alone, and that the puppets were too demanding, and Oscar the Grouch should have been given housing by a social service agency or something.
Well, people, they can make up stuff in anything.
You do know Snuffleupagus is an imaginary creature, according to South Park.
Until one day when everybody saw him.
Oh, really? What day was
that? That happened.
What day was that?
There was a day when finally everybody saw Snuffleupagus, and Big Bird was all, see? I told you he was my friend. And they're like, we're sorry we didn't believe you.
Well, Mr. Rogers saw Snuffleupagus, too. Remember that Mr. Rogers one where he runs by and says hi to him?
No, I do not.
Yes, they did a race with Big Bird and Snuffleupagus. And Snuffleupagus runs by and tells Mr. Rogers he thinks he knows him and says hi and runs by, and Mr. Rogers then talks to Big Bird.
Okay. I didn't see that.
And now all the listeners are going, how can he remember Sesame Street and he can't remember anything else?
Things that make an impact stick.
Yeah. Like a big elephant. Didn't Snuffleupagus have another imaginary little sister, too?
I don't remember.
Or was that his daughter?
I do not know.
Remember, Snuffleupagus, I think, was married and then divorced, and they had a show on divorce, too, I think.
I have no idea. I would have to look that up.
Anyways, what Sesame Street did not talk about, right? And remember Grover?
They handled the divorce. They handled death because Mr. Hooper died.
He died?
And they talked about it.
He died?
Yes.
Now, did the actor really die?
Yes, the actor really died. So they decided to talk about it.
Oh, boy.
And to talk about it at a children's level.
Oh, yeah.
They had several different things.
Oh, yeah, that's the one where Big Bird wanted to know why it was closed.
Yes.
Yes, that's right. And weren't Bert and Ernie gay, or were they brothers? I thought they were brothers.
Sesame Street has said everyone can interpret that for themselves. That is the official statement.
I thought they were brothers.
So they're not saying no, they're not.
So what's the official word on it? There is none?
The official word is you interpret it yourself.
Oh, I see. So that's basically saying they don't want to take responsibility for the answer.
No, that's saying they don't want to destroy one person's image or another's, and they're leaving it open.
Oh. Is that the same way with Oscar the Grouch, too?
Oscar's a grouchy person who lives in a trash can. That's all Oscar is.
Or did he live in a trash can? That
Yeah,
led
he lives in
down
the
to a
trash can.
huge world, doesn't it? You
Yeah,
never
but
seen the movie Oscar and Grouchland?
no, I have not.
No. Well, that's a good movie to go see. It's a horror movie, too.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Half of those movies were horror movies when I was a kid. My mom never let me watch horror movies because she didn't like them. So, I did not grow up with the horror genre.
I grew up watching horror movies with my dad all the time. That's what we did on the weekend. Watch horror movies.
We watched wrestling on the weekends.
With whatever horror host happened to be available, depending on where we lived.
I have one of, I don't know if Will Smith starred in it or not. But Vincent Price starred in it when the whole village was gone. And then they were all zombies. And they remade it.
Last Man on Earth.
Yes. I have that
Based on a book.
I have that somewhere. But anyways, it's time to wrap things up. So, if you want, you can write to me. My email is cwlawrence, CWLAWRENCE01 My website is www.iambrotherwade.com. Our phone number that we normally have here is 607-238-3816. Nobody called this week. No callers this week. But that's okay. We had a good conversation. Mm-hmm. And every week we come up here on Facebook, and we thank Audrey for joining us. We thank her for coming up here.
I'm going to put my temple link in the comments, okay?
Okay. Real quick, if you got a temple, if you can do the temple address real quick for everybody.
There's the Facebook link.
Well, for our listening audience, is there a way to say it?
Temple of Shadows. You can find us on Facebook.
Okay.
You can also find it at templeofshadows.org online.
Okay. And I will see everybody next week.